Hey everybody, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving and maybe you took a little bit of time off and enjoyed the beautiful weather that we had here. I got a couple days off, which was really nice, but back to business now and looking at what's going on in the Phoenix real estate market this week. So no surprise, our market index has gone up again. And if you haven't watched my past videos, just kind of a brief overview, this market index is something that I get from the Cromford Report. They study the MLS data here in Phoenix, and they are able to provide an analysis of what goes on in the market. And their market index takes into consideration supply factors, demand factors, seasonal factors, and kind of what our normal historical rates look like here in Phoenix in terms of number of contracts and sales and all that good stuff. And they come up with a market index that tells us where our supply and demand is at and is really a predictor of price appreciation. So this market index, the value of 100 is a balanced market. Anything below 100 is a buyer's market, and anything above 100 is a seller's market. We have been hovering somewhere in the 360s for a while, and this week we're at 373. So it's definitely increased quite a bit. And we are definitely in a seller's market as we have been for a while. Our demand is 35% above normal, and our supply is 64% below normal. And supply has historically been the issue for us, and it still is. It's still very low, but demand has really been the driving factor that has created so much pressure in our market, especially since May. Demand has gone above normal levels by quite a bit and has continued to stay in that range and continue to increase. Our supply hasn't gone down all that much over the last few months. It's kind of held steady, but it's held at a very low number. And just over the last week, we found that it went down. So supply just got a little bit lower, which does not help the situation when we have high demand and low supply that is getting lower. Now, that's not unreasonable for the time period that we're in right now. So the holidays with Thanksgiving, it's very likely and common that we see that supply goes down because fewer people list their homes for sale. With the holidays, we're all distracted and it's not always a priority. So I would suspect that supply will stay low and maybe continue to decrease over the next month, and then hopefully in the new year start to go back up again. But what is kind of the wild card is buyer demand. Also, that tends to decrease around this time frame as well, just because people, again, are distracted and have other priorities. But with the way things have been going, we may see demand stay high or continue to increase over the holidays. And if that's the case, that's just going to continue to push that market index and those prices upward because we will have more demand and less supply. So that's where we stand as far as that goes. One of the issues that we have in terms of our supply, and I've mentioned this before, but I think it's worth repeating, is our supply is really low because our population growth and inbound migration has outpaced what we've built. So in the last 10 years, we've only increased our housing units by about 9%, where we've increased the population by 17%. So there's a huge deficit there in terms of numbers of housing units to the people that live here and want to move here. And we continue to have inbound migration, which doesn't help our supply. So that's why we are where we are with the supply and demand issue. And I think COVID also kind of accelerated that as we had a lot of people moving here from other areas of the country. With that being said, our annual appreciation is up to 17%, which is crazy. And it's actually increased by 16% since May of this year. So this is another thing, as I'm saying, prices continue to increase. This is the proof right there. So the annual appreciation is huge. And part of that is because we've had a lot more sales this year in the higher price ranges, so 600,000 and above. So that dollar per square foot is higher, which accounts for this average being higher. But regardless of that, we're still seeing a higher appreciation rate this year than we have in the past. So I continue to tell you that prices are high, and I know that makes it discouraging if you're a buyer. But two things to consider. Prices are probably going to increase, so it's better if you buy now than wait. But also, when you look at the difference between your rental rates and your mortgage rates right now, the case for buying really outweighs renting. So for example, if you are buying a house for $320,000 and an average like 1,500 to 2,000 square foot house, your monthly payment's probably around $1,563 a month, considering mortgage rates are low right now and on average about 2.7%. However, if you're renting, your rental rate is probably in the high 1700s. So like 1790 or so is on average for the same size house. So I know that it can be scary to jump into buying if it's not something that you feel like you're ready for, or not having that down payment. But if you really look at the monthly payments, I would much rather be paying a lower amount and actually have something that I own versus paying a higher amount for a rental rate. And in addition to that, if you haven't heard about this, the CARES Act that was passed, it actually allows you to pull from your 401k to invest in a home. So if you don't have money for a down payment, that might be an option you want to look into while the CARES Act is still active. Definitely speak with an accountant or someone like that to make sure that it's doable for you. I don't know if you have to pay taxes or not, but I do believe they allow you to go in and pull some money out of that without penalty. So something to think about if you really want to buy and you're looking to find money for that down payment. A 401k might be a good option with what they've allowed us to do this year. So that's kind of where we're at as far as the updates for this week. I'm actually going to be doing a full monthly update for the month of November at the end of this week. So my Friday video will be a lot of market info, but a little bit more of a deep dive than what I'm doing today. So hopefully that will be helpful and you can come check that out on Friday. As always, if you have any questions, reach out to me anytime and I would be happy to help. I hope everybody has a great week.